Today I'm going to check out how the cassava is doing that I planted 2 days ago. I'm also going to intercrop some black-eyed peas, and I have about 8 to 10 different varieties that I'm going to plant all together and hope that they can cross with each other and create some genetic diversity. This corn behind me is a Landrace project. I also found out about that from watching David the Good, and then I bought the Joseph Lofthouse book that he suggested. Anyway, that corn behind me is 10 different heirlooms that I planted together last year, and then I basically neglected it and then just collected all the corn that produced seed. And I had probably 2 pounds, not a whole lot, and it didn't look great, but it produced seed and it was all crossed with each other, and that's kind of the point. So hopefully this corn will have some hybrid vigor this year. It's going to be neglected as well. And I want to do something similar with the black-eyed peas. Now, I don't think that they outcross quite as easily as corn. And I read some literature today that I found online explaining how to hand pollinate it. I'm not sure I feel confident to do that. I might try it with a couple different plants. But basically, I'm going to plant a bunch of black-eyed pea varieties together and hope that they cross. And I won't really know if they did or not, but if I keep just doing that year after year, I should get some kind of hybridization. And I'm going to take some pictures of what each seed looks like, and we can kind of keep track of plants that way. So some of these canes that had roots and leaves have the leaves now poking up through the soil. I had buried all of the greenery, so that stuff came up to the top. It's only been a couple of days, and I'm not sure if any of these dry ones like that will produce anything, but those are the same one that I buried the ones from the protein powder next to. So if that one doesn't produce anything, then maybe the other one will. So it's been a couple days and there is some growth. It's been very warm lately. Last night was actually kind of cool, but it's gonna be back to being hot today. So let's go check out these black-eyed peas and see what we got. So here we got 2 varieties that I've planted in the past. We got Colossus 80 in my hand here, and then these are a bunch of, I think they're called California black-eyed peas, but these are ones that I previously grew and saved for seed. And you know, they do pretty good, but they get this rust when it starts getting real hot and they die off. And that's kind of how all of them are. And all the snake beans that I grow, that happens to as well. And they're all just different types of cowpeas. So that just might be a thing. Or it could be something that might be solved by adding a bunch of genetic diversity. So I don't know, that's what this is all about. I'm gonna take some more seeds out of each package. I got a bunch more over here, and just get a quick video of what they look like so I can kind of keep track of what each plant is as they grow. All right, first up, we got Big Red Ripper, parentheses, Mandy. I like that name. I don't know what that's all about, but that looks like a nice pea. Then we got Iron and Clay. Now this one is not uniform. It has 2 different color peas, and they're kind of small. So that should be kind of a good giveaway. When I take open a pod, I'll be able to figure it out. Here's Florida Conch, very small peas. That should also be helpful when I'm peeling pods, because I'm not gonna keep them separate. I'm just gonna throw them in a bucket. Then we got Brown Crowder, Mississippi Purple, which look very similar to the Brown Crowder. Maybe their pods will look different. Then we got Green Dixie Black Eye, and you probably can't tell so much on the phone, but they have kind of a green hue to them. And then we got some just generic black-eyed pea cowpea, which looks pretty similar to the ones I already grow. but I don't really care about knowing the difference as long as I just have more plants of different varieties. That's all I really care about. So I'm gonna go stare at the plot for a few minutes and come up with a strategy for how I'm gonna plant. So I've got a lot of space to plant these. I've got 4 rows of 5 cassava. So I'm gonna do rows of black-eyed peas in between the rows of cassava both ways. So in a checkerboard kind of pattern. And I think rather than trying to keep each black-eyed pea variety separate, I'm just gonna mix them all into the popcorn container and just start planting them out. All right, I got a good mix of cowpea seed, and I kept these generic looking black-eyed ones separate because I want to know that I planted all of them. I might have some leftover California ones that I had already been planting for a couple years, so I want to get these ones definitely in the mix. Let's start planting. All right, so I got a couple hundred planted, 4 around each cassava cane, and then every 8 inches to a foot in the rows and in the lanes and on the perimeter. So I should have, I don't know, a couple hundred plants, and then I'll thin some of them out. But I'm not gonna water it because it's already wet from all the watering yesterday. So now let's hope we get a good sprout and not too many rabbits eat my seedlings. Real quick, I should mention that the whole point of Landrace is to grow an adapted variety that's adapted to your own land and conditions. Basically, just you can plant it and not have to take a lot of extra care for it, and it still produce a good crop. So that's the point of land racing. That's kind of what I'm trying to do with all of my crops that is possible for. So for things like cassava and sweet potatoes, I'm not going to be able to do that. But for other things like legumes and corn and squash and peppers, I'm going to try. I mean, why not? And even if you don't hand pollinate, maybe if you just keep planting more and more varieties, it'll do it on its own. And in the Lofthouse book, he talks about how it's just good to have a bunch of different varieties of the crop you're trying to grow, because the bugs and diseases might not be able to kill every variety. So my black-eyed peas have tons of insects on them, like ants and stink bugs and all kinds of things every time I go pick beans. So there's going to be a lot of self-pollination. I would have to take extraordinary steps to prevent that, and I don't really feel like doing that. So I'm just going to hope that I get some outcrossing, and if I don't, I'm just going to keep doing it. What difference does it make? I'll put them all together and see how they taste. I can't imagine that it's going to taste that much different.